This is Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Subscribe for new content notifications. Now, here's Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at @BackupBradleyAbove at the top of the screen, and everything that we're talking about here today. So today I want to go down into the topic of this new XRP Ledger Foundation and what I think could become a comparable, maybe not, but at least let's have a conversation about it. And let's try to start to collectively together see if we can suss out exactly how big or whatever this is. And then I want to talk about that XRP Ledger Foundation in relationship to the potential Ripple IPO that, you know, if we follow Brad Garlinghouse's statements, which were a little loose, but nevertheless, he basically, suggested that they were looking to IPO Ripple over the next 12 months. Those remarks were made in January of this year at Davos at the World Economic Forum, which was a big event. And if so, and if Ripple does, whether that's in the 12 months or not, I think there's a larger question as well. And that is talking about the remainder of the escrow and who remains to be or who will be the steward of that escrow should they IPO. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So for those of you that don't know, the XRP Ledger Foundation was established on September 24th to promote the development and adoption of the XRP Ledger. Then I'm going to skip right to the next tab that I have set up for us. Let's watch. This is a good 20-minute breakdown of the XRP Ledger. Don't get scared. We're only going to watch 3 minutes of it, so maybe less. So let's go over the first 3 minutes here and just listen to some of the things about the XRP Ledger Foundation, and then let's have a discussion here.
Hello folks, you have reached the cryptocurrency portal, and today we're going to go over some information about Ripple and XRP and this big news that the XRP Ledger Foundation has been launched. So XRP Ledger Foundation, the official account on Twitter, made this announcement and says, today we have launched the XRP Foundation, an independent nonprofit focusing on the growth, innovation, and development of the XRPL and XRP community. With community support of industry leaders, academics, and community members, we can ensure XRPL is well positioned for the future. Talks about what we are doing. It's developing the core XRPL infrastructure, governance, validator, diversity code, maintenance, publishing a unique node list, growing an already incredible development community, promoting sustainable and scalable practices. So check them out on Twitter. Follow them at XRPLF. So here's the website, which their website is xrplf.org. You can see they're just the homepage right here of the XRP Ledger Foundation. It's to foster development on and widespread usage of the XRP Ledger. It looks like they have 5 values and beliefs. It says, the first one is, we value our role as an independent organization acting in the best interests of the XRP Ledger. Second bullet, we believe trust is foundational to our mission and building trust is a slow, steady process. Third bullet, we believe in close working relationships with developers and organizations that build on and contribute to the XRP Ledger. Fourth bullet, we value having the resources and support to compete on an equal playing field with other foundations in achieving our goals. And the last bullet here is, we value cultivating a diverse XRP Ledger ecosystem where many entities contribute to and benefit from the XRP Ledger. So big news coming out in the XRP world with this XRP Ledger Foundation being launched. Here is their focus, another 5 bullet points here, driving research and development and contributing to the code that is the core of the XRP Ledger. 5 bullets here. Developer relations, funding and resources for core software development, software branding, packaging, distribution, data and analytics driven decision making, and fraud monitoring and prevention. So the next area here is ensuring reliable transaction submissions and data querying so that everyone has reliable access to the XRP Ledger. 4 quick bullets. High availability servers providing 24/7, 365 days a year, access for anyone to query the full ledger history or submit transactions. Next bullet, monitoring and live data. Next bullet, mentoring for infrastructure providers. And last bullet, publishing a UNL. Social impact and engagement. Just 3 bullets here. Engaging businesses, nonprofits, and regulators to build synergy within and across key sectors in order to broaden our social impact. Next bullet, identifying and funding showcase projects with high social impact. And last bullet, collaboration with UBRI partners. And the last section here, connecting diverse stakeholders to cultivate a thriving, vibrant XRP ecosystem. 3 bullets here. Strategic coordinated engagement to further the XRP Ledger adoption. Second bullet, collaboration with diverse stakeholders such as businesses and universities. And last bullet, fundraising. So let me know in the...
Okay, now let's go ahead and get to that. And now this, to me, seems, again, and I've been vocal about this, I got to be honest, this looks like a huge signal to me that Ripple, the blockchain infrastructure company, has just taken a huge step to make sure that the XRP Ledger and the XRP asset is completely separate from Ripple, the company, by putting an independent nonprofit foundation really overseeing the development of the XRP Ledger. It is no longer their baby. Ripple is now a customer, as is everyone else who uses the ledger and the XRP asset. But as a blockchain infrastructure company who has worked to have these things developed and to build on these protocols around the world with other companies, they are a blockchain infrastructure company helping other companies, financial institutions, and banks to prepare and to get onto the new protocols that allow you to operate in a new financial system or payment rails. Now, with that being said, what this looks like to me, because whether you realize this or not, there is a standards body, an international standards body and committee that oversees the current protocols of the internet now. That organization is called the W3C. The World Wide Web Consortium is a main international standards organization for the World Wide Web, founded in 1994 and currently led by Tim Berners-Lee. The consortium is made up of member organizations that maintain full-time staff working together in development of standards for the World Wide Web. As of 2019, W3C has 443 members. W3C also engages in education, outreach, develops software, and serves as an open forum for discussion about the web. Now, does that sound remotely familiar to you, to what we just listened to? Because it does to me. I can tell you that. You know, I really do believe that there is huge connections here in where XRP and the Ledger are really going. I have said it many times on the channel, and I'm going to say it again. XRP is not just a digital asset. It is a digital asset that will be a part of the framework of the digital asset space. I really do believe that. And to the tune, and that's why I have a channel covering it. And, you know, going further into that, you know, thinking about this consortium, you know, lining up in my mind with the World Wide Web Consortium, we know that the Interledger protocol, which is really like the huge protocol that allows everything to be interoperable with the ledger itself, XRP Ledger. Let's take a look at this now. This is an article that reminds everybody, and I've covered this before, Ripple gifted the Interledger protocol to the W3C. Which sounds an awful lot like what the XRP Ledger Foundation is about to become, is another, what may grow into be a independent, nonprofit, international, hopefully, because I think that's where it'll get its best contributions from the world itself, body that oversees the protocols of the new Internet of Value. I'm speculating a bit, but I don't think I'm out on too thin a limb. Now, coming back to this article here, back in 2015, the W3C are also in control of the Interledger protocol. This is almost exactly the same as IP, but for money and value. ILP are a set of protocols that make sure a payment and settlement can bounce from one network to another through multiple networks to reach a final destination. Ripple made this protocol and gifted it to the W3C. So if you trust the internet, it is time that you start to trust the W3C, the XRP Ledger, and the ILP. Now, when I think about that, I really start to think about the idea of at some point Ripple is going to IPO. I believe that is clear. We don't know when, but I believe it's not too far in the distant future. But whenever it may be, I think the question remains now, if Ripple has gone this far to separate itself, because I remember talking to Bob Way, and we're going to listen to a clip from Bob Way here in a minute, but it's not on this comment, but we did remark on this, and it was in fact about the early days at Ripple where they said in the war room when they were strategizing how to launch the company and the asset and incentivize people around the world and companies around the world, which is where the accelerator program came from, where they pre-allocated 300 million XRP to incentivize different networks and industries around the world under contractual agreements so that they wouldn't turn around and flood the system and Ripple wouldn't turn around and be able to take it back and those kinds of things. We're going to hear Bob Way speak to those comments here in a second. But when I think about that idea, I think we're reaching that place. I think we're really literally seeing that decoupling moment for Ripple pulling away. And really, it's time for the bird to fly out of the nest. And that's the Interledger protocol and the XRP asset to take flight on its own. I believe this is that moment. It's happening. Now, with that being said, I have to ask myself, what happens to the remainder of the 50 plus billion that are in escrow? Ripple has been a very good steward of the escrow. I know that the escrow is in a cryptographically auto-locked account. But just for the sake of it, the definition of escrow is a bond or a deed or other document kept in custody of a third party and taking effect only when a specified condition has been fulfilled. A third party. It's in the definition of escrow. So what I'm asking is will we see potentially an international organization developed off of this that involves the G7, G20 members and maybe more or less, I don't know, that becomes an international body that will vote and participate in the network, just like RippleNet partners. Maybe it's partners through RippleNet. Maybe it's a collective of an international organization, third party, and RippleNet, and they all participate to a degree in the escrow as it is released and how it's bought and sold and held back or not. Because I believe that a certain part of it is pre-allocated. We know that 300 million were pre-allocated for the accelerator program because Ripple told us that. We know that they can pre-allocate XRP because Bob Way told us that, and he's going to tell you that again here in a minute. The question is that as Ripple begins to grow and the XRP Ledger begins to grow and take flight and fly on its own and get out here and get its own wings, so to speak, who will be the steward of that escrow release? Especially after Ripple IPOs. Will Ripple continue to be the steward of that release? Because believe me, when $1 billion is released every month, there's a decision made of how much goes back into the kitty, right? It's not just simply, well, there's $1 billion and then the next month there's another $1 billion and nothing goes back. there is a decision made of how much is bought or sold OTC, and then whatever the remainder is put back on the end of the account in a new term to continue to roll it over, right? So when I think of this, I start asking myself, what happens to the escrow? If we really believe that XRP is to serve as a bridge currency to all the money of the world, be it derivatives, commodities, fiat, stable coins, CBDCs, the whole lot, you know the drill. Do you really believe that an independent American company will be the controller of what would become one of the most valuable assets on the planet? Now, I think they would get to hold the $6 billion or so that they have and use that for development and incentives to even more businesses and companies to prime the network, prime the pump, so to speak, because that's what the accelerator program was about for XRP, which is where seigniorage had come into play. Seigniorage very quickly was when they would incentivize certain market makers in certain areas and corridors to use the asset over the traditional path, which would be fiat to fiat that they would normally use. And if they were to suffer any loss in revenue through using that new digital bridge path of XRP, then they would basically reimburse them the difference there. And that process is called seigniorage. They'll cover the spread that you may incur there so you don't lose. That's not something that would last forever, because then as things multiply and customers see the benefits, they start to increase on your service, because what you're offering as you bring more people in will continue to bring the cost down. It will bring more efficiency to the network, more liquidity to the network, because you're providing the utility for it. So at the end of the day, the question remains for me is what happens when, and they haven't done it yet, but when Ripple does IPO, do they remain the steward of the XRP escrow when it is released? Because I know it's in a cryptographically auto-locked account, as I said before. But when that XRP is released each month, someone's in charge of how much someone gets sold and how much gets put back on the back end. I think all of this is extremely exciting. I don't want anybody to think while I'm talking about this that I think anything bad is happening or anything like that. What I think we're watching here, quite simply, is the introduction of new money to the world. And the only way to really do that is to incentivize market makers and certain industry leaders around the world to begin to use it, or to agree at some point to use it and to take a position in it in the early days that are contractually bound by a stipend list or a list of agreements and bullet points throughout that contractual agreement of that pre-allocated amount, that you will accomplish a certain amount of things on your end and we will accomplish a certain amount of things on our end, which sounds like to me it bodes well, because what has Ripple been doing? Building market infrastructure so all of this can be used. What would a major player do that signs on to agree to receive a pre-allocated amount? To do the work from their company's end to connect to the plumbing and that main market infrastructure that Ripple has been building for years. And if everyone lives up to their agreement within the timeline that's agreed upon, you will be released that amount or what have you that goes to you. I also remember David Schwartz specifically saying that the price of XRP is the price of XRP. So don't forget that. The luxury of buying it OTC is just simply that you can buy large amounts of it or receive large amounts of it at one price instead of buying it off the exchanges where you would have to buy out the order books to get what you needed. Okay, so with that being said, let's roll it here and let's listen to Bob Way. And I hope Bob Way and his family, Janet, Puccini, the bird, I hope they're all doing good and everybody's doing really well. And I still go back occasionally and watch this video with him and remember those 2 days that we spent talking together was just extremely enlightening to me. And I can't thank him enough for it. So let's listen to him here. It's only about 3.5 minutes, and you're going to want to hear every second of it. Here we go.
Where that I've ever heard of, even contemplated, that goes, oh, Ripple's going to transfer a bunch of XRP to the bank, and that's going to be worth money, and then the banks are going to do this to do a big spike in the market price,
right,
and make a bunch of money. People go to jail for stuff like that.
Exactly.
And
yeah. And that's a key point. People do go to jail for that. That's called collusion, right? And this is a little different what we're talking about with pre-allocation. Bob is about to break that down for you right now. Let's listen.
Most of the decisions in banking are made by, can I get promoted or might this get me fired?
Right.
And if you move on to, is it going to get me thrown in jail? That's like
it's a whole nother ballgame.
Tier of no, right? And so no amount of, there's these backroom deals going on to, profit by, artificially spiking
the price, right?
It's like, nobody wants to go to jail.
Yeah.
Really. And everybody's trying to legitimately create value for people like you. We're trying to make business transactions happen faster, and organically that value gets spread around the ecosystem, and it benefits people, XRP holders there.
And what he's talking about, just to fill you in, without playing the whole interview again, is that I had explained and shared that I have been a global importer in my life through a business I created, a product I invented. And essentially I was explaining as an example that I need to send money across to the other side of the world, to China, to have products built and manufactured. And he was expressing that what we're talking about here is incentivizing network and market makers to be able to provide liquidity from all different areas and sectors of the industries, to be able to provide more liquidity and access to a network for a guy like me. Now, listen very carefully where we go here. Absolutely.
Like Ripple, the company.
Absolutely. So I think this is a beautiful segue for us to move into the next point, which is understanding the 55 billion escrow. So I just did a recent interview, really great interview with SPQR Media, who are fantastic, with Lee on that show. It's a team of them over there, and they do some really nice work. And he was remarking about the fact that escrow, and you and I touched on this a little bit yesterday, so it's for the audience, obviously, to bring them up to where we've been, that the escrow can be pre-allocated in contracts. So an entity could go out and say, look, I want 1 million XRP next March or what have you. And I think that's an important thing to understand through all of this, because, as we see, as you really, obviously, you have brought an enormous amount of clarity. I told you yesterday when we spoke, I absolutely got lights coming on in my warehouse. I mean, it's unbelievable. But, I think it's important to understand that that is a key part of what they're doing. So if you understand the quarterly report, Crypto Eddie, who's in Japan, has an XRP channel. She's fantastic. She shouted us out for our interview today. And she also broke down the Q1 report and said it was like at the rate that they sold currently, it's another 200 and some odd months, at that pace before it would go away. And I think that was accurate of her to say, but I also think it's important to remember about escrow that there could be portions along the way here that are allocated for entities like banks who understand we're not going to be like the record company. Put us on the till, we're going to get our blockchain together and all our this together and get their stuff in-house together. But it's waiting for them at a certain point as well. So is that a little too optimistic, or is that fair to say?
So let me expand on that a little bit, but that's generally fair to say.
Well, there you have it. Now, I'm going to let this play a little more, but you get it. And I feel like we're seeing maybe, potentially, with the XRP Ledger Foundation, maybe, just maybe, we're seeing a step towards that clarity of something, a third-party entity. We know we've even heard Miguel Villas back in 2017 do an interview with Epic Center where he even talked about the potential of a third party maybe overseeing the escrow at some point as well. And I don't think that would be a bad idea, because I know Mickey B's done a lot of research on Susan Athey and the idea of a auction style bidding that she actually has got a lot of experience in, at about how the Ripple escrow could be doled out or disseminated. Because look, ultimately what I see here is I see, through the good stewardship of Ripple with the escrow to date and putting it in escrow at all, what I see there is really the exercising of what will become monetary policy. If you really believe that XRP is a bridge currency for the world, then you must understand that it must have monetary policy on the asset. And the way to do that is to obviously make sure it is in an account that is accounted for, so you can ensure for other people that are going to participate in the use of that and the network that it won't be dumped, and that it does have a schedule, and there will be a fiscal responsibility in how it's passed out to the certain players that can bring a level of utility to the network, right? Let's hear the rest of what Bob says here. It's pretty fantastic.
And that's one of the amazing things about these escrow features. So let me give you just a little bit of background. I don't know how much time we have here.
I'm open. I've cleared the afternoon. So is whenever, obviously whenever you're ready, we can do a wrap. It's up to you.
Okay. So escrow was actually not created for what everybody sees it being used for now, the most prominent use case, which is Ripple's escrow of its 50 billion plus XRP. It was actually created as a synchronizing primitive for ILP transactions. And
right.
So there's two types of an escrow transaction says, I'm the person who used to have this XRP. Here's where the XRP is going to go, the person it's going to go to next.
Right.
And it then has a condition on it. It says, right now, I have a condition. If this condition is true, the person receiving the signs this particular contract.
Right.
Then deliver this to that person. Right.
Right.
It also has a timeout on it, which says that person has to deliver this condition to receive the XRP before a certain time.
Okay.
And if they don't do that, the XRP goes back to me. Right.
Got it. Yeah.
But before that timeout, I can't reclaim the XRP. I can't renege and take it all back.
Right.
That's what makes it an escrow.
And that's really it right there. And that's exactly what we're talking about here. So, the question remains that if we're watching Ripple really kind of give the shove off to the XRP Ledger in the best way, in the best light, because I think if they are doing that, then they feel that it is time for XRP to go out and grow on its own in that regard. It doesn't mean that Ripple will stop building on it or launching use cases on it at all. That's not what I mean. But I mean, there's just a simple division that Ripple is a company and the XRP Ledger is a universal highway for the world and all things of value, which it should be. And as it should be, I think this is absolutely a growth moment potentially that we're witnessing take place. And understanding that the escrow can be pre-allocated, then how much of it really is left that isn't pre-allocated? And I'm sure and certain that if it is in fact a currency, then I would imagine a certain portion of that escrow would have to be held back at regardless, because it needs to be there to exercise monetary policy, because it's supposed to last for 100 or 150 years or longer. Okay, these are the thoughts. These are the things that are happening. We're watching waves of regulation come out right now. We are seeing massive things, I believe, from, the launching of the XRP Foundation, which looks a lot to me like an early stages W3C for potentially the new protocols of the Internet of Value. All right, guys, that's going to do it for me. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and share with somebody you know. I'll catch all of you on the next one.